The Craigslist ad was simple, almost too good to be true. Spacious loft apartment available immediately, heart of the city, $800 a month. A steal, especially for someone like Sarah starting fresh in a new city. She was tired of living in cramped, overpriced studios. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, hope battling with caution. Sarah clicked. Pictures of the loft flooded her screen. Exposed brick walls, sunlight streaming through massive windows, a gleaming modern kitchen. It was perfect, almost too perfect. She shook it off. This was it, her chance for a new beginning. A beautiful old brownstone in a quiet, charming neighborhood. The unease she felt earlier morphed into excitement. The building was even grander in person. She pushed open the heavy wooden door and stepped into a dimly lit foyer that smelled faintly of dust and old money. The landlord was waiting, a tall, gaunt figure shrouded in shadows. He gave a curt nod and led her up a creaking staircase. The air grew colder as they climbed, raising goosebumps on her arms. The door creaked open, revealing the loft from the pictures. The first few weeks in the loft were idyllic. Sarah reveled in the spaciousness, the quiet solitude. She decorated with care, turning the loft into a reflection of herself. Plants thrived on the windowsills, their green leaves drinking in the sunlight. The city noises felt distant, muffled by the old brick walls. But gradually, subtly, things began to change. It started with sounds. Faint creaking at night, floorboards groaning beneath unseen footsteps. The pipes, ancient and temperamental, would clang and shudder, jolting Sarah awake in the dead of night. Shadows seemed to dance at the edge of her vision, disappearing when she turned her head. Then there were the smells, musty, like damp earth and decaying wood wafting from the old ventilation system. Sarah initially dismissed them as old building quirks, but doubt began to creep in. The noises seemed to intensify at night, scratching sounds behind the walls, as if something were trying to claw its way through. Whispers, barely audible, seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, chilling her to the bone. She tried to rationalize them away, blaming stress, lack of sleep, the city's overactive imagination. Her friends, initially excited about her new apartment, now exchanged worried glances when she described the strange occurrences. Their laughter at her ghost stories was strained, their reassurances hollow. Even they couldn't ignore the fear creeping into her voice, the haunted look in her eyes. Sarah felt a chasm growing between them, a distance she couldn't bridge. Sarah's fear had solidified into a steely resolve. She would not be a victim. She would uncover the truth, no matter how terrifying it might be. She started by examining every inch of her apartment, searching for any signs of forced entry, any hidden cameras, anything out of place. She found nothing. The apartment was pristine, almost too perfect, as if meticulously staged. The lack of evidence only deepened her unease. It was as if someone was trying to erase their presence, to convince her that her fears were unfounded. Sarah's investigation took on a renewed urgency. She studied the building's blueprints, noticing a discrepancy between the original layout and the current configuration. A small, hidden room, unaccounted for in the current plans, was located directly behind the wall of her bedroom. A cold dread settled in her stomach. This had to be the source of the strange noises, the unsettling presence. She enlisted the help of a trusted contractor, a friend of a friend, who agreed to investigate her suspicions. Under the cover of darkness, they carefully removed a section of her bedroom wall, their hearts pounding with a mixture of apprehension and morbid curiosity. The air in the hidden room was stale, thick with dust and the passage of time. A single bare bulb hanging from a frayed wire cast eerie shadows on the dusty floor. In the center of the room stood a wooden table, and upon it, a collection of objects that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. The evidence was overwhelming, chilling in its implications. Sarah's seemingly perfect loft was built upon a foundation of unimaginable horror. The gruff landlord, the too-perfect apartment, the hurried demeanor, it all clicked into place. He was covering something up, protecting a dark secret that had been buried within these walls for decades. Panic threatened to consume her, but Sarah fought it back. She had stumbled upon something truly horrific, and she couldn't let fear paralyze her. She had to act, had to expose the truth. The weight of their discovery pressed down on Sarah, heavy and suffocating. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind through the old windows sent shivers down her spine. She felt like prey, trapped in a spiderweb, the predator lurking just out of sight. Sleep was impossible. She lay awake at night listening to every sound, her hand clutching a can of pepper spray, her only defense against the darkness that pressed in on her. She imagined the landlord's face, contorted in rage, his eyes burning with a cold, calculating light. He knew she was onto him. He knew she had uncovered his secret. Adrenaline surged through Sarah's veins. She knew with a terrifying certainty that she was in imminent danger. Her carefully laid plans, her hopes of exposing the truth, crumbled away in the face of this immediate, visceral threat. She had two choices: fight or flight. Instinct took over. She spun away from the door, racing towards her bedroom, her mind racing, searching for an escape route. The fire escape. She could climb out the window, make her way to the street, get help. But as she threw open the window, a wave of dizziness washed over her. The mirror smashed against the door with a deafening crash, splintering into 1,000 pieces. The impact sent shockwaves through the small apartment, rattling the windows in their frames. Sarah didn't hesitate. She knew this was her only chance. She grabbed her phone, her fingers trembling as she dialed 911. The line crackled to life, a dispatcher's calm voice a lifeline in the chaos. 911, what's your emergency? Sarah's voice was high-pitched, breathless, but she forced herself to speak clearly, concisely, relaying her location, the immediate threat. He's trying to get in! Please hurry! The place was a blur of flashing lights and shouted commands. Sarah, huddled in a corner of her shattered apartment, watched as paramedics loaded the injured woman onto a stretcher, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and relief. The following days were a whirlwind of police interviews, news crews camped outside her building, and the slow, sickening realization of the true extent of the landlord's crimes. The woman Sarah had encountered, far from being another victim, was an undercover detective, working on a tip about the missing persons cases linked to the building. Her investigation had led her to Sarah's apartment, to the hidden room and its gruesome secrets. The landlord, apprehended as he attempted to flee the city, was revealed to be the son of the notorious private investigator who had once occupied the building. Driven by a twisted sense of loyalty and a desire to preserve his father's legacy, he had continued his gruesome work, preying on vulnerable young women, luring them to their deaths with the promise of affordable housing. Sarah eventually moved out of the loft, the memories of that night forever etched in her mind. She found solace in the knowledge that she had helped bring a dangerous predator to justice, that her ordeal had shone a light on the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of everyday life. But the experience left an indelible mark, a chilling reminder of the price of trust and the ever-present potential for evil to hide in plain sight. The Craigslist nightmare, a stark reminder that in the digital age, where anonymity reigns and convenience often trumps caution, the line between dream and nightmare can be perilously thin.